So hi everyone, thank you for having me here again, Digvijay. My topic Flutter development for production usage. My main concern here is why this topic, because how to do things in Flutter is quite available on the internet right now, and pretty much everyone has the access to it. And my main concern is how the industry is going towards, and in which direction it is going towards. I just wanted to dip my thoughts on something which I learned bits and tricks from here and there. So my first thing is, like, before diving into the topic, let me highlight a few topics first. Uh, like some fun facts as every 5 years, number of developers increase by two times, and that is said by the famous author of Clean Code, Bob Martin, in his famous lecture "Future of Programming." You can find that on YouTube, though I have heard it. Uh, this statement implies that at any given point, the number of experienced developers is far less as compared to the number of beginners, and the contrast is increasing day by day. So considering this point, learning to code is also becoming easier and easier day by day, as nowadays 20 years old can learn pretty much everything into development as compared to how it was back in the 80s and 90s. Back in the 80s and 90s, any engineer, any computer science engineer has to be at least 8 to 10 years of experience into some other domain, and then dive into this particular domain. But today, any 20-year-old can actually learn a good level of DSN algo and crack Google, right? This is a good thing though, but there are some drawbacks to it. This also leads to not following proper coding patterns and standards, and and an attitude to just getting it done somehow. This actually leads to some problems, because when you consider these 2 points, that number of experienced developers are far less as compared to the number of beginner developers. There are very few people to learn from in the industry. And considering one more point, like, why is this dangerous in the future? We have licenses for doctors or lawyers, but none for developers. We we which implies that we can't have very serious implications on our career if something bad happens. Like, but what bad could a developer do, right? That was a question which I was like pinging in my head. So Bob Martin explains this pretty much easily, that our future will be automated. Complete future will be automated. So from our fridge AC to someday cars, which is obviously Tesla is already there, airplanes and weaponry even. That those things will be automated, and one buggy code, or one missed edge case, or one missed proper structure for anything can lead to some serious stuff. So that's why something should be there, something which maintains the decorum, maintains the licensing. Otherwise, if something serious happens, the government can take place. And these are not my words specifically, these are Bob Martin's word, and I am currently reading his book also, Clean Code, and it's pretty much amazing. I would really recommend. So coming to why Flutter, how is it related to Flutter? So being one of the best growing mobile development SDK and community as well, like currently it is 1,88,000 stars on GitHub, like, and it has like cross, I guess, React Native as well. Uh, and considering the fact that it is very easy to learn and very easy to begin with, you can really learn any like UI code in just 15 to 20 days. I have actually tried this method. I have actually given a few videos to some EC friends of mine, and they have actually tried and begin with and actually created applications with it. And with this point into mind, majority of Flutter developers right now are students, especially in India. This I've seen a trend in YouTube, in LinkedIn actually, where many people are actually posting some static UI design, and that is a good thing. That is actually a good thing. But that leads to a mental thing, that now we know Flutter, and now we know how industry works, how coding patterns should be there. So, but that is not true. Once you come into the industry, then you have to relearn a lot of things, which was my personal experience. So, thus concluding, it's imperative we should emphasize on quality and maintain standards across the industry. At least try to. which my point is. So coming back to the topic, some must-haves which I have in my mind are setting up the development and production environment, best practices for writing clean code. For this, I have actually a complete detailed talk for best practices and architectures and state management and all of this. You can find that on Geekyant's YouTube channel. Uh, then the third point is testing, debugging, monitoring, and distribution. Let us dive into each of them into a little detail. So, uh, setting up the environment, that is quite basic. Like most of us in the working and in industry actually follow this, but for the college students, I don't see this a lot. And considering that Flutter is being adapted by college students a lot, and some school students as well, uh, try to adapt to Git. That's what my suggestion is. Different branching structure for maintaining your code base, that is really helpful, and that is really scalable thing to think of any project, be it a small one or big one. Maintaining things on Git is quite easy, and it won't take even like a day or two to learn this particular thing. Second thing is best practices for clean coding. As I mentioned that I've already dived into this topic, but our main concern is to at least follow basic architecture or principle or some basic logic guidelines for your UI, and try to learn this continuously, because in our current industry, this particular thing has been changing a lot. Consider for an example the state managements which are coming on a day-to-day cases. So recently DART announced null checks, and that was really great. Pavan Kumar has this package called Velocity X that like differentiates your development experience completely. So we should try to learn different things, try to understand different perspectives. Also, just when MobX was ported to Flutter, then that was kind of a very new thing for us, and that was like mind blowing for us to learn also. So I guess the creator of MobX for Flutter is already in here in the panelists. So ask questions for that as well. For learning these things, like my top three condition, uh, developers are Rezo Coder, Phil Stacks, and IMPK. I actually love their videos and their blogs, and they have pretty much detailed about how the thing should work and how they should not work based on different use cases as well. Second point, considering testing, debugging, and monitoring. This is something which everyone tends to do at last or never. This is something which should always be there. For testing, unit tests, with tests, and integration tests. Dhrumil Shah has an amazing talk and an article on this. Everyone should read it once, and he has also mentioned why it is important for testing for us to do, and it brings a wholesome experience on. It is not just a QA's job to test these particular things. He will not just he cannot decide where the error is. Hence, monitoring and debugging takes place. For debugging, most of us don't even have good habits, including me. I still do some most of the time print debugging, but that is not the right way to do it. Like for like I've been suggested by my senior devs also this particular thing, that I should try to adapt to Dart dev tools, which is quite an amazing tool for us to use. I'm trying to learn it now. And coming to the third point, the monitoring part. uh, in my previous project, not to mention the name, but uh, using Firebase Crashlytics was one of the biggest things for us, because finding bugs using that particular process is very easy. Is it becomes a streamlined process, that this bug, find this log, and then you're done. You don't have to go around in the code to find every bug there. It also like increases your development process by a lot, and these parts should not be kept for last. These things should be there in your continuous development process. Coming to my last point, which is distribution through CI/CD. This is something which people never think of. Like some people may even think of good debugging things, good monitoring, but CI/CD is considered when the project is done. Now we have to deploy it, and then we have to do some water life cycle method. Then then only people usually prefer CI/CD. But I would suggest that CI/CD should be a habit of every developer from starting of the project. And why is it so? Like, if you push updates on for your app frequently, or if, like, even for your QAs to test, CI/CD can help you automate various tasks and help reduce uh, a lot of workload for us, and it thus giving us more time to work on. Next point could be detection of error as early as possible. You can also identify location of the error easily, the file number, the line number, the everything could be easily detected. I've tried this method, and it works quite. And even we have third party integrations with Code Magic or Bitrise or Circle CI. And also like, obviously, it also increases our productive time. As CI/CD automates a lot of tasks, developers can spend a lot more time on development rather than debugging. So some more tips and tricks which I wanted to share was, every company or development team should have a Dart analysis YAML file for their junior devs to follow. So then you don't have to like go over each and every code, and you can actually omit most of the part. Like, you can't use for loops and such things. You can't use logs like this. You can actually in detail specify what type of code should be written, should not be written, using data analysis. And this is a suggestion which many people try. I've seen this reso coder follow, that he actually asked the senior devs to make a dart analysis file for him, and he follows that particular structure. In the early days, he used to do that. uh, Next point could be every project, even the practice one, should go through automated CI/CD testing. This is a yes or no thing, but I think everyone should follow this, because this is something which inculcates a very good habit. Second thing is, if so, try to maintain different flavors. Example, staging, production, development. So this actually gives a good habit that of maintaining different environments, maintaining different flavors. So this will help in the future. This is not a must right now. We should also very much thoughtfully think about the error handling for every project, because error handling is, we don't follow a proper standard, or a proper structure for each and every different project, because error handling is different for different projects. So that has to be handled. And there is a complete section in clean code book about how to what are the different types of error handling there out there. And we can also use Docker to ensure our development on different platforms. Like, now we know Flutter is for multi-platform system. We can use web and desktop apps as well. So we can use Docker for that, maintaining different environments for those things. So my point was only up to this much, that how we should inculcate different practices, and we are technically losing these things, and we are more focusing on getting things done. So that is what I wanted to highlight more. Thank you very much.